Hi guys, today is going to be a little bit noisy because I'm on the wrong side of history. I mean, on the wrong side of my workshop, close to the freeway, so I hope you hear me well. Today we're going to be talking about batteries, and I'm in one of my customers' vehicle, and there were multiple electrical failures here. The fans were not working, and all those electronics here were not working, and they are not working yet. And another fan that I'm trying to repair. So there was like a little bit of things to do here, but the biggest surprise is in the back. Let's go. I'm going to show you what we have here. Okay, so we've got spider webs everywhere, metal spider webs, and that thing is a mess. I mean, I don't mean to criticize anybody, because I know that there were like a lot of good efforts to do it. Yeah, somebody who was trying to do it was really trying to do his or her best. But apart from lots of energy, you also need a little bit of knowledge. What we have here are Tesla batteries. This is one Tesla battery, this is the second Tesla battery. Those things have 444, as far as I remember, lithium-ion cells inside. So there's a lot of power, and it's very important to make sure you don't mess it up, because this is lithium-ion, which means that if something goes wrong, those things just and of course we had a lot of problems here, simply because there was one main component missing, which is the BMS. As you can see here, we have only displays, but we don't have the BMS, which is the battery monitor system. And the outcome is that each cell is totally imbalanced. This is the cell number 1, 2.9. This is cell number 2, 3, 4, very high, and 5 and 6. So they all should be equal, but the difference is between 3.5 and 2.9, which is really, really bad. And that thing just wasn't working, so that's why I need to deal with this problem. Okay, so let's start with the wires. We have a lot of wires here. They are pretty much connected properly, which means they are crimped and they have heat shrink, but it's a total mess. And simplicity is very important, because the thing is that you're going to be the user of this system. You're going to be driving your van. I'm not going to be driving your van. So you need to understand what's going on. And here, we don't know what's going on. I hardly know what's going on. There are like a lot of things connected one to the other, and this is not a simple setup. The outcome is very simple, because eventually, in the end, we only end up having a solar charge controller, we end up having an inverter, we end up having the batteries, and some sort of Victron battery monitor, stuff like that, and the regular things as fuse box and disconnects. So the system is simple, but the way that thing's been executed is, I mean, you can see it. Okay guys, let's start with the batteries that we have in this vehicle and in other vehicles. So basically we have five types of batteries. I mean, there are like probably 60 types of batteries, but there are 4 types of batteries that really matter to you and to me. The first one is the lead acid batteries, the regular car batteries, and yeah, they're actually all regular, which means that we have AGM batteries, we have gel batteries, we have flooded batteries, we have sealed batteries. They just try to divide this section into different subsections, but in general the chemistry and the way of operation is exactly the same. So flooded, sealed, lead acid, AGM and gel batteries are all in fact lead acid batteries, which means that they are like more or less heavy, and they have lead plates inside and some sort of electrolyte, whether it's liquid or gel. And those batteries are very simple. I mean, you just connect them. You don't need any other electronics to control those batteries. You have the negative and the positive terminals. That's it. But of course, as most of you know, those batteries are heavy and quite bulky for what they can deliver. So a regular 100 amp hour battery is going to be like a large chunk of plastic, and it's going to be very heavy. You can hardly lift a 100 amp hour battery. Oh, maybe, I mean, you could lift it, yeah, but it's really heavy. And for the same weight and for the same volume, you can have 3 times more power if you choose a different type of batteries. And that leads us to the second type of batteries, which is the most popular and the best solution for van life, for camper vans, which are the regular lithium batteries. For the sake of simplicity, everybody calls them lithium batteries, but in fact they are LiFePO4 batteries, LiFePO4 batteries. Don't ask me about the abbreviation. Of course, it's lithium. Fe probably is going to be iron. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Lithium batteries, LiFePO4. That's what matters to you. They have a slightly, probably 2 times larger energy density, which means that in the same volume you can store probably 2 or 3 times more energy compared to a lead acid battery, and at the same time they are lighter. So it's an advantage because you save space, you save weight, but of course you have to pay 5 times more because a regular lead acid battery is around probably $200, whereas a lithium battery of the same capacity is going to be $600. So maybe, okay, it's 3 times more, but it used to be 5 times more. And they are very safe, which means that if you overcharge it or heat it, it will probably be hissing and off-gassing, but it will not set itself on fire. This is not the case in this vehicle, because here we have lithium-ion batteries, which still have a larger energy density, a larger capacity per volume than, of course, lead acid and regular lithium batteries, but it all comes with a risk, which means that if you do something wrong with those batteries, they can explode. And that's more or less what was my main worry when I first saw this vehicle. The customer came and I was measuring the cells, and they were way overcharged because there is no battery monitoring system. So that thing could start, being on fire any moment. So what we did was we just lowered the voltage by discharging the batteries real quick with a heater gun or a hair dryer, and that puts them in the safe range where we know nothing wrong is going to happen. But because of that, the lithium-ion batteries and the LiFePO4, which means the regular lithium batteries, they need something called BMS. And the BMS is nothing else but just a battery monitor or monitoring system, which means it takes care of all these cells in a battery pack. Each battery, even the regular 12-volt lead-acid batteries, they have certain cells. They are subdivided into sections. And the regular lead-acid batteries, they can self-balance. I don't want to go into chemistry here, but what you need to know is they can self-balance. So we don't need any electronics connected to a regular lead-acid battery. But lithium batteries, lithium-ion batteries, they need to have some sort of electronics that will make sure that each section within the battery pack has the same voltage. because if you have some sort of discrepancies, some sort of differences, you will end up overcharging the sections which have a higher voltage, and for example discharging too much the sections which have a lower voltage. So the BMS, what the BMS does is it charges all the battery until the first section reaches, the section of the highest voltage reaches the limit, then it discharges a little bit this section, then it charges the entire battery once more, discharges the high section, charges the remaining parts of the battery once more, etc., 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 until you reach the same equal level, the same equal voltage on all the sections. And this is what the BMS does. If it doesn't, you can search on YouTube something like e-bike battery failures, lithium battery fires, and you will see what happens and what potentially could happen in your vehicle. So these batteries are not bad, but you simply need to know how to deal with them. And there is a fourth type of batteries which I will just only mention. These are the lithium-polymer batteries, which even have a larger density per volume. So you can store more energy in the same area, in the same volume, but they are way more dangerous than the lithium-ion batteries. So they are used in drones, they are used in remote control cars where you need really lightweight and a lot of energy, but not in vehicles. But they exist, so I'm just mentioning that you have such batteries on the market, but don't buy them. Lithium, the regular lithium, LiFePO 4 is okay. Lithium-ion, maybe. And of course lead acid is not a problem because these are the regular heavy, ugly, but cheap batteries. Now let's return to those wires. The thickness of wires is very important, but what you saw underneath is a lot of wires, and many of those wires are really, really very, very thick. The thing is that it looks nice, it looks serious, it looks hardcore, yeah, but you don't need those thick wires. You should Google something which is called Ampacity, and depending on your energy draw on your application, you will know which wires you should use. Of course you can make them 3 times thicker than necessary, and it's okay, but it's simply not something you have to do, because you calculate the entire cumulative draw of your system, the worst case scenario, and then you just adjust the thickness of the wires accordingly. So those wires, some of them were really, really thick, and in a lot of setups you see those wires are really, really huge, which for me, I don't think so. Copper is not cheap, so if you're building a camper van, of course you can put anything you want, but it's not mandatory to sort of waste or misuse so much copper where it's not needed. So please make sure, and of course it goes the other way around as well, which means do not use thin wires where you need more power. Also, distance is very important, which means if you have a distance of 1 foot, you can have thinner wire, but if you have the same appliance you want to connect, I don't know, a 12-volt cigarette lighter socket or an LED or something, but your distance is 10 times longer, you need a slightly thicker wire. So distance matters. That's why if you have some lights, if you have a connection to your refrigerator, make sure you have the proper wire, taking into account the distance from the source to the appliance. And of course, simple is always better. What you saw underneath here is pretty much okay. It worked. Yeah, the batteries were the main problem. The rest was pretty much okay. But you need to understand your system, because if you're in the middle of nowhere and something happens and you don't know what happened, you need to be able to trace where the electricity goes. When I saw something like that, I have some experience, so I was able to just figure it out pretty quick. But somebody who's not an electrician or who doesn't have any experience in that field will be totally lost. you cannot be lost because it's your vehicle, so you need to make sure this system is very simple. So try to make sure the wires just don't go in a random direction. They just go from part A to part B, from the battery to whatever, the inverter, from the inverter to your sockets, or from the battery to your fuse box. One wire, not a bunch of wires, one thicker wire. Then from the fuse box you have like all sorts of wire going to all your appliances and equipment. That will make any troubleshooting way easier than when you make like a lot of, like a spider web of wires. And also make sure you don't use too much equipment, simply because you can easily overdo it. Yeah, which means that you watch one video, you see one website, and everybody tells you need this battery monitor, you need a shunt, you need a Bluetooth app for whatever reason, you need another monitor, you need the display, you need a bunch of switches, you need a secondary display, etc., etc., etc. No, in the end, what matters to you is the voltage, which means if you have a 12-volt system with a regular lead acid battery, if you're closer to 12.6, 12.8, or even 12.4 or 2, that means your battery is fully charged. So 12 point some change is a fully charged battery. If you are under 12, like 11.8, 11.7, it's like more or less, yeah? Let's assume it's like 60-50%. But if you're coming closer to 10 volts, 11.3, 11.2, this is bad. That means that you don't have enough power in your battery. You need to recharge it. I don't know, you need to use your solar power, your shore connector. You just need to find any way to recharge that battery. And also the voltage drop is not linear, which means that it will maintain itself for quite a long time in between 12 and 11 and a half, and then it will suddenly start dropping. So you should be worrying about your battery when it reaches like 11 and a half, 11.3. This is really bad. So that's the only thing you need to know. You don't need to have shunts, you need to have displays, you need to have monitors. A regular voltmeter, I mean like a voltage screen, they are probably $7 or $10 on Amazon, will just solve all your problems. In the case of lithium batteries, it's basically the same. Whether it's LiFePO4 or Lithium-ion, you just need to know the fully charged state of your battery, which might be 14 volts, 13 point something, and the discharge, which is also around 11, 10.9, 10 point something. They could go lower in some cases, but it doesn't matter because all your appliances like refrigerators, they have a cutoff at 10.5. So you need to calculate that the things in your van will start shutting off at 10.5 because this is the security cutoff voltage. So also, when you have expensive lithium batteries, you only need a regular display. They will just show you the voltage, and you can even buy those displays that you can program between max and minimum, and they will just show you the percentage of energy used. Okay, so that would be it for today. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I think that I haven't said everything about electricity and the batteries. I'm sure there is a lot of things to say, so please subscribe and see you next time. Thank you.